Good morning. My name is Jimmy Reeves. I am the vice president of this humble organization, not a humble organization, this great organization. And I'm pleased to be joining the Quest facilitator team. That would be Betsy, Heidi, Carl, Brittany, and me on the chancel this morning. We welcome you to this sanctuary and the worship service, as well as those joining us online. I just want to mention that back in 1983, when I first came to this church, we did participatory Sundays. We didn't have a minister, and so much of the Sunday was people participating and telling us their truth. Today will be a little bit like that. We hope that in this congregation and sacred place, wherever it may be, you will be strengthened by spiritual encouragement and find comfort for those who join with you in worship. As we enter worship, please take a moment to verify that your cell phones are muted if you're here in the sanctuary. To everyone familiar and everyone new to this congregation, you are welcomed with love. If you're in person, you're invited to stop by the welcome table in the vestibule if you would like to learn more about this congregation and Unitarian Universalism. If you're joining us online, or for that matter, if you're here, please visit the newcomer page on our website at uucwnc.org to get acquainted with us. At this time, we invite any visitors or folks who've been away for a while to introduce or reintroduce yourself if you feel like doing so. If you are online, drop a line in the chat box. Anyone in this section that's new and wanted to introduce yourself? Anyone here? Oh, we have someone here.
I'm Jean Hall. I'm not new, I'm just returning.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back, Jean Hall. Welcome back. Anyone else? Anyone in the center? Welcome, Stephen, and what did you say your partner's name was? Mel. Stephen and Mel, thank you so much. Anyone here? Welcome, Stephen and welcome, Stephen the second and Myra. Holly, yeah, I'm not hearing as well as I used to, and Holly, welcome. Anyone here? Raleigh, you want to say a word? No. Thank you for sharing this morning with us. Sorry. In your order of service, please find announcements for some of the many activities happening in our congregation. There's also a calendar of events posted on the wall on your way to Dobkin Hall, which is the place we meet for coffee in the back of the church. Come back with water. Many UU congregations mark their homecoming service in the fall with some sort of in-gathering ritual, the most popular of which is a water ceremony. We plan to try out that ritual when we have our homecoming service September 10th. To prepare for it, collect a small sample of water this summer from your travels, from your backyard, from the ocean or river, whatever suits you. Then we'll bring all the water to the ceremony in September, creating a symbol of our gathered community. Are you interested in what our congregation's committees do and how you might become part of one of our dynamic groups? On the back of your order of service, you'll find an announcement by the Committee for Ministry about the results of their survey of our committees. Committees are our lifeblood. Ministries that carry out key functions and provide social activities for us all to enjoy. Please consider serving on one, or even more than one. We need your ideas and your support. Finally, the World Religion class, our Neighboring Faiths class, will start on September 17th with our Indigenous Faith unit. This class is for fourth graders and up, and we will be exploring the world's religious traditions together. We will be visiting neighboring places of worship hearing from guest speakers, and learning about cultures associated with religions as well. Please see your weekly digest for more information about this program and our many social justice initiatives. The digest is available from our newsletter link along the top rail of our homepage. All of the digests for the last, 2.5 or 3 months are available at that link if you want to go back and learn some more about us in the past. Now, let us take a moment to settle ourselves, to open our hearts and minds to what worship will bring to us this morning. At the sounding of the chimes, let our spirits enter into a different place, a space of worship, of love, of life, of love, of that which we hold sacred. May we take this time to grow our souls. I have to say that we are blessed with amazing pianists, not to mention the rest of our guitar-toting crew. Please join us in the unison chalice lighting in your order of service as Brittany Washington lights our chalice. We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for those who may yet find this spiritual home, and for those we can't even yet imagine. For each of us and for all of us, may this flame burn more and bright.
Good morning. I'm Carl Middleton,
I'm Jim Middleton.
and I've known him for over 30 years. And by the way, I'm Carl Middleton the Elder. The book that we're going to share with you this morning is an adaptation of a short story by the great Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy. Okay, it tells the story of a boy on his own quest to find the answer to 3 questions.
The Three Questions by John Muth.
There once was a boy named Nikolai who sometimes felt uncertain about the right way to act.
I want to be a good person.
He told his friends.
If only I could find the answers to my 3 questions.
Nikolai's friends understood, and they wanted to help him. When is the best time to do things? Who's the most important one? What is the right thing to do? Nikolai's friends considered his first question. Then Sonia, the heron, spoke.
To know the best time to do things, one must plan in advance.
She said, for instance, for that. Gogol the monkey, who had been rooting through some leaves to find something good to eat, said,
You will know what to do if you watch and pay close attention.
Then Pushkin the dog, who was just dozing off, rolled over and said,
You can't pay attention to everything yourself. You need a pack to watch and help you decide when to do things. For example, Gogol, a coconut is about to fall on your head.
Nikolai thought for a moment. Then he asked his second question.
Who is the most important one? Those who are closest to heaven.
Said Sonia, circling up into the sky.
Those who know how to heal the sick.
Said Gogol, stroking his bruised noggin.
Those who make the rules.
Growled Pushkin. Nikolai thought some more. Then he asked the third question.
What is the right thing to do? Flying.
Said Sonia.
Having fun all the time.
Laughed Gogol.
Fighting.
Barked Pushkin right away. Then the boy thought for a long while. He loved his friends. He knew they were all trying their best to help him answer his questions, but their answers didn't seem quite right. Then an idea came to him.
I know.
He thought.
I'll ask Leo, the turtle. He's lived a very long time. Surely he will know the answers I'm looking for.
Nikolai hiked high up into the mountains where the old turtle lived all alone. When Nikolai arrived, he found Leo digging a garden. The turtle was old, and digging was hard for him.
I have 3 questions, and I came to ask your help.
Nikolai said.
When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? What is the right thing to do?
Leo listened carefully, but he only smiled. Then he went on with his digging.
You must be tired.
Nikolai said at last.
Let me help you.
The turtle gave him his shovel and thanked him. And because it was easier for a young boy to dig than it was for an old turtle, Nikolai kept on digging until the rows were finished. But just as he finished, the wind blew wildly and rain burst from darkened clouds. As they moved toward the cottage for shelter, Nikolai suddenly heard a cry for help. Running down the path, he found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. Carefully, Nikolai carried her into Leo's house and made a splint for her leg with a stick of bamboo. The storm raged on, banging at the doors and windows. The panda woke up.
Where am I?
She said.
And where is my child?
And how do I turn these pages? The boy ran out of the cottage and down the path. The roar of the storm was deafening. Pushing against the howling wind and drenching rain, he ran farther into the forest. There he found the panda's child cold and shivering on the ground. The little panda was wet and scared, but alive. Nikolai carried her inside and made her warm and dry. Then he laid her in her mother's arms. Leo smiled when he saw what the boy had done. The next morning, the sun was warm, birds sang, and all was well with the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikolai for saving her and her baby from the storm. At that moment, Sonia, Gogol, and Pushkin arrived to make sure everyone was all right. Nikolai felt great peace within himself. He had wonderful friends, and he had saved the panda and her child, but he still felt disappointed. He still had not found the answers to his 3 questions. So he asked Leo one more time. The old turtle looked at the boy.
But your questions have been answered.
He said,
They have?
asked the boy.
Yesterday, if you had not stayed to help me dig my garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cries for help in the storm. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent digging the garden. The most important one at that moment was me, and the most important thing to do was help me with my garden. Later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you spent mending her leg and saving her child. The most important ones were the panda and her baby, and the most important thing to do was take care of them and make them safe. Remember then that there is only one important time, and that time is now. The most important one is always the one you are with, and the most important thing to do is good for the one who is standing at your side. For these, my dear boy, are the answers to what is most important in this world. This is why we are here.
We need to sing the kids out. Let's sing the kids out as they go to their Sunday classes. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
So now we have a Yusuf Islam Cat Stevens song, but it will be the Ed Brophy version. So I'm gonna need some help. So please sing out. Bounce it. Thank you. Bounce it. Yeah. Yeah, you can stand up too. Heidi said to. Thank you, Heidi. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be free, be free. There's a million things to be, you know that there are. If you want to live high, live high. If you want to live low, live low. There's a million ways to go, you know that there are. You can do what you want. The opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true. You can make it undo, you'll see. It's easy. You only need to know. If you want to say yes, say yes. If you want to say no, say no. There's a million ways to go, you know that there are. If you want to be me, be me. If you want to be you, be you. There's a million things to do, you know that there are. You can do what you want, the opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true. You can make it undo, you see. It's easy. You only need to know. If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be free, be free. There's a million things to be. You know that there are, you know that there are, you know that there are. You know that you know that there are. You know that there are.
There are days we wish would never end because they're so wonderful. And there are days that cannot end too soon, for they are so hard. Sorrow is the mortar between our happiness. To fill up our joys and sorrows, we invite you to come forward and light a candle or place a stone in the fountain while we sing Spirit of Life. I would like to point out that we have a slightly different arrangement this time. And so what we want folks to do is to line up on this side and go as far back, don't sit on Dan, but go as far back and as far back as the doors. And then just be mindful as people find their way back to their seats. So let's begin by singing Spirit of Life. I will now light a candle for joys and sorrows that are too deep to express. In the spirit of community and a sense of purpose in our ministry, let us commence the discovery of our strengths, our concerns, our grief, and our joy. Let this journey be one of love, authenticity, and reverence. Let us shape our lives, our work, and our days as an expression of that joy, that love, and of our commitment to service and to each other.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome all of you to this wonderful circle of loving and kind souls. You are the beacon, you are the light that led us on our path and that brought us all together. Everyone who comes through this door has a story to tell about the journey or quest that they took to get here. Some started out with a completely different set of beliefs, a different type of church. Others came looking for greater understanding and acceptance of who they are. Some have been UUs all of their adult life and knew that wherever they went, they would find a church to call home. And then others lost their belief in one dogma or another, but came for the shared values and a desire to make the world a better place. During this part of today's service, we are going to take the road less traveled. Instead of just a few of us telling our story from the pulpit, we are opening it up like we do with our quest group. So those of you who are willing can share with us something about your journey to Quest or to UU. What brought you here? Was it a change in what you believe? A need for greater understanding and acceptance of who you are? A welcoming sanctuary from the world? Finding others who share your values? And or that desire to find others who care about making a difference? So we are going to start by asking each of you to share something about your religious or spiritual journey. And Betsy is going to be on Zoom with Brittany doing the same thing. Here in the sanctuary, we are asking you to please share with the person sitting next to you. And if someone isn't sitting next to you, find someone. Because I see someone who's, yeah. There's a seat right behind you. And if there's someone who's with a group of 2 and they don't have another, then do a group of 3, right? Okay, and go ahead and share for a couple minutes what brought you to Unitarian Universalism, and not just this church in particular. Go ahead.
Hi, Zoomers. Can people hear me? Yes, good.
Yes.
Yes, yes. All right, terrific. Well, what an opportunity for us to chat with each other. We don't have to have just one other partner. We have 25 other partners here. So this will give us a chance to just share a couple of thoughts about how it was that you got to this place where we are all gathered, either on Zoom or in person, and just tell us a little bit about your own journey. So is there anyone who would like to be the brave person to go first? Yes.
I will.
Good,
So-
Marlene, thank you.
So my husband and I joined the Unitarian congregation in Sterling, Virginia, which is where we retired down here from. My husband was a recovering Catholic. Well, I guess he was a Catholic at the time, and I'm Jewish. And we were married in a Baptist church. We couldn't find a priest or a rabbi that would marry a mixed religion couple, but we found a Baptist church that where the minister was kind of a laid-back 12-step minister, and so we were married in a Baptist church, and that's how we decided to become Unitarians eventually.
And how did you find us at UUCWNC?
Well, that was one of the things that we were looking at for a retirement community was a community that had a Unitarian congregation. So you checked one of our boxes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Well, Marlene, we're really happy that you and Tony did find us. And I look forward to seeing you in person someday soon.
Thank you.
Is that you, Anne?
Yes.
Oh, great. How are you today?
I'm just fine.
Good.
I listen, but my first experience was a little unusual. I went to the Unitarian Church because my daughter was being bullied for not being Catholic or, all that stuff. And she says, well, what are we? Because we weren't going anywhere. So I went to the Unitarian Church, and that first sermon was done by the police chief of Hawaii Five-0 TV program. And he was the guest speaker, and he passed out pieces of torn paper towel. Everyone had a piece of torn paper towel. I do not remember the words, but it was absolutely mind-boggling experience, and that hooked me for life. And that was in 1970.
Plainfield, New Jersey.
In Plainfield, New Jersey.
So what was on, so words were on the paper towel?
He just spoke about it. That was the sermon. He spoke about these torn. I wish I had, the sermon. I don't remember what he said, but he talked about those pieces of paper towels.
Metaphorically.
Yes, right. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was the police chief from the TV show Hawaii Five-0, just as a guest speaker. We did have a wonderful minister also, but that was my very first experience. I found, wow, this is something else.
Well, and then how did you get to this particular church?
Well, I wouldn't have moved here if there wasn't a Unitarian church here in the first place. So
like
that
Marlene,
that was a requirement.
Yeah, good. Okay, wonderful. Other folks, either raise your hand or you could do it electronically if you're more comfortable with that. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share.
Deb, hey.
Hey. So
Please.
I left the Catholic Church at age 18, totally disillusioned. And except for a brief stint with the Episcopalian Church when my kids were little, I basically eschewed all organized religion. I moved to Wilmington in 2015, and within a couple of years, I just felt like there was something missing. And I was influenced by my sister Sherry, who's been a Unitarian for 20 some years in a small congregation up in New York, and decided to visit the Unitarian Church here in Wilmington, and loved it and have been coming ever since. Well, Zooming for the last year, but anyway.
Good.
I'm so glad I found it.
Well, and we're glad you found it too, me particularly. Great. Joan, did you want to say something?
Sure, I'll jump in. I have always read about the Unitarian Church. Everywhere I've lived in a number of different states, different cities, and it always seemed correct to me because there was something about every church I ever went to that I just couldn't agree to. And so I moved here about 6 months ago, and again, that was one of the things that I was looking for. But, I wasn't really ready to jump in just because I had read about Unitarian Church. So I started playing Mahjong, and I've been playing Mahjong. And
Not
really,
just to
really
one
have
or two of
gotten
us,
to know
but
some
to all of
wonderful,
us.
wonderful people. And
So we're gonna
I
open
joined
this
last
up.
week.
And I'm going to start with this side right here.
Wow, thank you so much, Joan.
Okay.
Are other people getting the feedback from the main room?
Yes.
Okay. Could you go ask Dan? Yeah. This is a grand experiment, so bear with us.
You're doing great, Betsy.
Well, it's just that we're not sure whether we're supposed to be joining them or not.
I think she moved on to the next question.
Okay. Susie, I see you. You have anything to contribute to the conversation of how you got here? Will you unmute yourself?
Hi, Betsy.
Hey.
Steve had been raised Catholic, I'd been raised Jewish, and we had young children. And so we went to the Unitarian Universalist Society in Burlington, Vermont. And like others, it was a requirement in a way for us that when we moved to another place, we would like to find a community. So it's a similar story.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I think, were looking for a like-minded, or I guess a couple of weeks ago, someone made the distinction between being like-minded and like-valued. So maybe we do share values with the others in the congregation, and I think that was a major motivation for a lot of people who I've talked to. Certainly, it was the first time I appeared inside a church in over 55 years when I moved to Wilmington. And when I moved here, I had two children who are wonderful and very willing and friendly about including us in their own circles of friends. But of course, they're in their 50s and I'm in my late 70s. So we had some different interests, and we were looking for a community of people who were our age and who shared many of our values. And our neighbors suggested that this might be a good fit for us. And when I came the first time and heard that we were reading Maya Angelou poems and singing Sweet Honey in the Rock songs, I thought, wow, I have really arrived. I didn't know that this could be called church. And so I was very excited that this is what we do call church. And I am really excited to be with you all and others who share their thoughts through Quest and also in the service and through other activities as well. But Quest has been an important part of my journey here at the UUCWNC. Anybody else want to say anything? Yes, Kat. Hey. Have you unmuted yourself?
She's not on mute.
Yeah, she's on mute up here.
That would be if we were gonna mute her. She's not on mute. Because look, anybody else? Yeah, so she's not on mute. Now she's muted.
Kat, we're having some trouble hearing from you. Can I go to the next person while you try to figure it out? Tina, and why don't you unmute? Yeah,
okay,
good.
I think I did. I don't mean to take Kat's turn, but since we can't hear her,
Right.
I have kind of a different story. I was first exposed to UU. It was really a lifesaver for me. I was just turning 35 and I had a 4-year-old child, and I was in a kind of a really apathetic marriage. And I lived in a big city where I had no relatives and only friends through my work. So really, and I said to myself, well, I'm going to be 35. Is this how I want the rest of my life to be? And the answer was no. And so I started taking steps to get divorced and just start a new life with a 4-year-old child. And so that's, I don't remember exactly how, maybe somebody recommended it to me or something, but that's when I found the UU Church in Dallas, and they had quite a few people in their 30s like myself who were searching. And so it really, I stayed part of that church while I lived in Dallas, and I made many friends, and it just helped me build a new life. And so when we came here, I was just really glad to, I mean, I knew about it. I had researched it before we came here. So I knew, I think. And that's my story.
Well, thank you for sharing it. And it sounds like a number of people whose stories I've heard both today and in previous occasions, children are often a way that people have gotten connected to the UU Church. I was just on the phone the other day with somebody I hadn't talked to in 15 years, and she was recounting her story of how she became a UU, and she too had found it through a play group when her child, who's now 27, was 3 years old. So I think many of us are looking for a good church home for our children, and that's a good entree for us as well. Anyone else like to share how they happen to get here or get to UU? Eileen, hi.
Hello, Betsy. Yes, I'd like to share, but I think my story probably is similar to a lot of others. I am also was in a mixed marriage, my first marriage, so I never really picked a religion for my children, and I never liked organized religions because of the dogma and telling you who you should pray to, what you should pray to. I was brought up Jewish, but never really followed the religion. When I married my second husband, he was a lapsed Catholic, and I was, I guess, nothing at the time. And we got married by a Unitarian minister because I knew after hearing about UUs and Unitarian Universalism that that's what I was. Reading about it and hearing about it, I said, that's me. But I never really joined anything until we moved to North Carolina. We moved to Winston-Salem, and a friend of mine was going to the UU there. And I said, oh, I'd love to go with you because that's something I've always wanted to try. And I did, and I stayed, and I became a member there. And when we moved, knew we were moving to the coast. I said, I have to move where there is a UU. And I searched and knew we wanted to come to Wilmington, and I knew they had a UU here. So that's how I found it.
Oh, great. We're glad you did. Thank you so much. I don't see Kat, so I guess she didn't figure that out yet. Oh, there you are, Kat. Did you figure it out?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Good.
Yay. Yeah, I have an external speaker, and I forgot it was away from me. So
okay. This technology.
I know. Anyway, I moved here around 2003 and started playing drums at a Methodist church in Southport and went there a little bit, but I always felt like I was a hypocrite because I didn't believe what they were saying. But I went there to play the music, but sitting through the service, I was like, no. So I had heard of Unitarian from a friend of mine who thought I would like it, but I had never run across one. And I didn't know there was one here. I was living in Southport, and then my life kind of, exploded, and found myself, getting divorced. And I went to Pride in Raleigh, Durham, and went to a Unitarian church there and really liked it. And found it very accepting and welcoming. And I'm like, wow. And then somebody said, oh, there's one in Wilmington. I'm like, what? So I started attending about 2009 and joined in 2011. First church I've actually ever joined myself. So, yeah.
Well, great, Kat. Thanks so much. I'm glad you figured out your AV stuff too.
Yeah.
Thanks for being swifter at that than I am. I'm sitting here with only part of Brittany in the screen, and I'd like to give her a chance to say something. So let me just move my thing over a little bit here. And
Hi, everybody online. She wanted me to share how I found UU. And for me, I grew up in a non-denominational Christian church. And so we moved away. I got married, and within a couple months, we decided to move to the West Coast. And we were there for 4 years. And while we were there, I just completely transformed in terms of how I think and, in terms of coming to terms with my sexuality and my beliefs. I went through a lot of different religions and studied a lot of different belief systems and realized that I really wasn't Christian. And so when we moved back to the East Coast and I, went to my Christian church that I was raised in, I really, enjoyed being around them, but I realized I really didn't like or resonate with what was going on in the pulpit. And so I was like, there's got to be a coven, there's got to be something. And so I Googled and I found the UU church in Lincroft, New Jersey. And I went there, and the first day they had a sermon. It was like I think it was the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And it was a service that was about Indigenous peoples. And they went into this whole history about it. And I'm like used to having services just about thanks, around that Sunday. And so it was very eye-opening, and I was hooked from that first day, and I joined there. And we moved to upstate New York after that. So I was there for 2 years. So I really got to dive in and experience the full, being on committees and being involved. And so when I came to North Carolina 3 years ago, I said, I definitely want to make sure I wait to join one because it was so hard to leave them. So I waited until we knew where we wanted to live. And so finally made it to the beach, of course, because that's where I was raised. And so found the UUCW from there, just, saw that there was one here, and immediately it felt the same that it's felt in every one that I've been to. So I joined right away.
Yay. Yay, yay. Other thoughts or questions for each other, responses to other people? I have been talking a lot.
I have one.
Yeah, Bob.
Well, my experience seems to be a little different than most of yours. I grew up in the Armenian Apostolic Church, which is an old world Orthodox and highly culturally bound Christian faith. I actually enjoyed it because that was part of my upbringing as an Armenian American. And I never thought much about it. I enjoyed it. There were some things about it that were very spiritual, and there's again, as I said, it's a very strong historical, cultural component to the religion. But once I went to grad school, there are very few parishes around the country. I hardly found any other churches wherever I was. Until I was in Washington, D.C., Linda and I actually took our kids to the Sunday school at the church in Washington. But it was very different from what I grew up. And then I became increasingly disillusioned. The irony there was that the priest was the most worldly and more oriented toward all of the issues that surround people who are drawn to, I think, UU. That had never happened before. And there was an irony there, but the parish and the people there were very different than the people I grew up with. Fast forward to moving here to Wilmington, and we met across the way from us, our backyard neighbors across the waterway here, were Doris Chu and Bill Stewart. And then we also met Beth and Gary O'Connell. And they said, within no time at all, they said, you two need to come to our congregation. They were convinced. And the first time we were there, it was eye-opening. and we were just delighted to jump right in. I must say, and I will admit, I knew of UU, but I didn't know what it comprised, what its values were. Over the years, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say so as an adult, that I really didn't know the religion.
Well, I think many of us are in constant exploration and learning about what UU is about and what other religions are about as well. I'm searching around to see if there's anybody else who wants to say something. I think we're going to be joining the larger group in just a few minutes. So if you have a story that you'd like to share, I'd like to give you this opportunity now. Anyone else have a thought? One of the things that I find interesting when I meet somebody in Wilmington, I ask them how it was that they got to Wilmington. And it's always interesting to hear people's stories. And I think that a couple of you have mentioned that you had a list of check boxes that you wanted to check off at a new place, and that the UU Church was one of those. And so how lucky that we all are that we found this place. And I think that we will probably be joining the other group about to do the offertory. I know you're not doing the offertory, but they'll be doing the offertory, and so we'll be resuming with the large group right now. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the lead.
Thank you all for your stories.
Future HIV infections via educating, serving, and training programs. Partners in Caring's goal is to increase dialogue and understanding about HIV. For those currently living with HIV, case management services connect them to health and medical resources, housing assistance, and spiritual care. No one needs to travel this challenging path alone. Providing preventative and supportive services, conducting HIV and STD testing, and counseling are part of the program. For women, children, and youth living with HIV, one of the programs, the Ryan White Initiative, provides grant funding for family-centered comprehensive care. Support groups create a safe, respectful, and confidential space. Partners in Caring chaplains are experienced in providing non-judgmental and sensitive care. Partners in Caring works in conjunction with faith-based, community-based, and local government-supported agencies, serving over 500 clients in Wilmington and the surrounding area. Any funds donated from Share the Plate will be used solely for the Wilmington surface area. And I want to mention that thanks to your generosity, we donated $637.54 to the Diaper Bank of North Carolina and $485.77 to Theater for All. Thank you so very much. If you're contributing by check, please put STP in the memo field. You can also text your donation at 813-513-0597 or donate directly from our website using the Share the Plate link on the homepage. Would the ushers please come forward and take up the collection?
know that old Unitarian joke that Unitarians aren't good singers because they're always looking ahead of the words to see if they agree with them. So like you can just trust me on this one. The words are all good, so sing along in the right places. Dan, I think this might be a little too loud, a little hot. Thank you. All right, boys, ready? Go. Just a cable for this one. Don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. Don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're here. Lift your head and let your feelings out instead. Don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. On by, on by, on by, on by, on by, on by. You know love is better than a song. Love is where we all belong. So don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. Don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. You're there, you're there, you're there, you're there. You are there, there. You're there, there, there. No love is better than a song. Love is where we all belong. So don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. Don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. You're there, 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 you're there.
Everything Falls Away by Parker Palmer. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light, alongside the times you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved who loved you, those who might have wished you ill. None of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or long gone. Everything falls away except the thread you followed, unknowing all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done. The thread you didn't know you were tracking until toward the end, you see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of life. Your life never was the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity, an immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. Parker Palmer. And thank you for being part of our UU tapestry.
Wow. First, let me thank the folks who made this service possible. Our wonderful musicians, Preston, Ed, Steve, and Rob. The religious education folks, Leslie O'Connor, Amelia Beamer, and Jasmine Cruz. Our greeter, Brittany Washington. Our welcome table person, Sylvia Quinn. Hospitality, yep, let's do that. Hospitality, Dennis and Joan McCulley. Diane Howley is the caring team representative this month, right? You got that right? The room verger, Scott Armstrong. And the Zoom verger, Dan Wheat Rivers. Please join me as we extinguish the chalice with the words from your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. You did a remarkable job with Joys and Sorrows. I'm not sure how Shalom is going to work, but I'm going to let you figure it out.